Hello, my name is Larry Liu from Morgan State University, and we're presenting the graduate program in the PhD program in applied sociology and social justice. Um, and today I'm joined by Dr. Natasha Pratt-Harris, also the current graduate chair to whom you can direct your inquiry on graduate studies. And I'm also joined by Dr. Leon Wilson, who is the department chair for the Department of Sociology and Anthropology. So Um, yeah, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Dr. Pratt-Harris, and speak a little bit about your area of research.
Perfect. Good day to all. Yes, I am Natasha Christina Pratt-Harris. I am a faculty in the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, and I always do parentheses, criminology and criminal justice. I've been at Morgan State University for going on 23 years at the time of this recording. I've been faculty for going on 18 years, if I'm counting correctly. And I'm in the department. I've been around for a while, connecting students at the undergrad and graduate level on special topics and courses related to statistics and research and criminology and criminal justice. My background is that I'm a Howard University alum, earned a PhD from Howard University in sociology and criminal justice background from University of Maryland College Park and University of Baltimore master's degree program. My area of research has evolved. One of the things we tell our students is that you will identify scholarship at some point in your academic journey, and you may attach yourself to certain areas that will speak to your commitment and your passion. Empirically speaking, I began focused on persons who are incarcerated, the life of men and women who have been behind the wall, and what happens upon release, especially related to their opportunities for efficiency, having employment, and be able to, do the things that are required when someone is released, like actually have housing and all those important things for someone to succeed at post-release. As time has continued, I've connected our students, in fact, to kind of addressing those experiences for men and women who are incarcerated. And then because of the criminal justice area, where we look at the three areas of criminal justice, the courts, police, and corrections, I moved into policing because how men and women and children and others and they actually are detained. It begins oftentimes begins with their having an experience with a law enforcement professional. So my work has recently been focused on policing and the experience of policing for individuals and communities, and what we see or address regarding policing as a larger society. We train a lot of students who themselves are law enforcement professionals and others who are hopeful of engaging in that particular career. And so that has involved bringing community, our students and law enforcement together for 5 cohorts. I co-taught a policing inside out class at the undergraduate level where we brought those 3 groups together. I co-taught that with a faculty at the other HBCU in Baltimore, across the way in West Baltimore, and we're in East Baltimore. And we were able to really assess who we are in society as it relates to the relationship between law enforcement and community, how we address crime as a community, law enforcement community, and our students. And that's under the Policing Inside Out program curriculum designed by a Howard University professor. So that work complements the area of research and scholarship, which is addressing policing in a city like Baltimore. I've served as the principal investigator of the consent decree community survey, where Baltimore City has been under Department of Justice watch since 2017. Morgan State University, under the Institute of Urban Research, has actually taking a look at what the community experiences, what their perceptions are about law enforcement in the city of Baltimore. So for the past 5 years, I've been responsible for a survey. We've done this survey 2 times, beginning in 2018. And that information is publicly available regarding the findings of the report that came out in 2020 from the data collected 2018 to 2019, and then the report that came out in October of 2023 for data collected from fall of 2021 through the spring of 2023. So a lot of work regarding policing. I currently am managing as a principal investigator, a National Science Foundation grant, where we are doing work in the city of Baltimore, identifying anomic neighborhoods and connecting with members of those communities regarding what happens as it relates to crime and causation, and what the yearnings are of members of the community in terms of being safe, and actually having conversations, initially using a survey, and then bringing people together to have conversations in those neighborhoods. Again, the goal is to build police and community relationships, make those more positive, or to establish a positive relationship, and then also to address crime in these neighborhoods that have been documented as high crime communities or neighborhoods. So that's just a tidbit of the work I've done. But for those who are taking a look at this particular video, the idea is that we have these areas that can define our work, but it can evolve, and but definitely connect you to these areas of justice seeking. And that's primarily what I'm focused on.
That's a very good review of your areas. I want to welcome Dr. Wilson and say a few words of self-introduction and your area of research.
Well, I am Leon Wilson, and I chair the Sociology and Anthropology department here at Morgan State University. It is my trek back to working closer with the faculty. I've served in several capacities in the academy. Interim president, provost for several years, dean for a while, department chair for, a good 10 years. And I'm returning back to that role, which gets me closer to what I really want to do, is just to do training graduate students and teaching in my areas of interest and specialty. I teach advanced statistics. I enjoy teaching research methods, social psychology, family psychology, and family sociology, and some other things that I've taught over the years. Social influence as a specialty, looking in particular how people are influenced in the realm of advertising and the rest of it. In terms of research, I consider myself a family researcher. I consider myself a person who do who does research in the social inequalities in health, both delivery and the consequences of those inequalities in the lives of people. Altogether, I do original research in these areas, and at this point have 5 major databases for which I was personally responsible. Starting with the dissertation research, 3 other research projects, one involving health issues among young people, one involving media habits among young people, and a comprehensive intergenerational study of African Americans going back to their roots with the University of Michigan. That's a major intergenerational database. And most recently, we did a large study on water quality in Guyana, but we have a lot of social science information in there. As a result, I'm working on a project looking at quality of life in Guyana right now, contextualizing it within the change of the political situation and the extent to which the population perceive their life circumstances, their health circumstances, and overall quality of life based on a number of indicators. I am interested in international research and always seeking resources to do that. I have a proposal I'm working on to study the legacy of the British system of high school placements in Guyana and the Caribbean. Hopefully we can get that funded, and that will provide a significant database for understanding what happens to young people based on how the system operates and how they are placed into high schools. Essentially, what we're arguing is that the pretext for very selective placements created all sorts of inequalities, and that argument is no longer valid in the context of equity. And so hopefully we can get that funded. That gives you a basic idea of what I do in terms of family. I've written extensively on aspects of family that nobody talks about. You know, male involvement in households is a particular interest of mine. We do general stuff on family, socialization, and the whole concept developed by the British anthropologists way back in 1945, and around there, talking about matrifocality as the characteristic nature of the society is something I dealt with from a dissertation perspective and continue to deal with that based on the data that I have received. So that gives you a synopsis of the things I do.
That's a very great introduction, Dr. Wilson. So what does the Morgan State University Sociology, Applied Sociology and Social Justice graduate program offer uniquely to graduate students, Dr. Pratt-Harris?
Well, Morgan State University's Applied Sociology and Social Justice PhD program is the second PhD in sociology of an HBCU in the United States. The second, you actually have the opportunity here to bring in, obviously, the applied sociology aspect of it. Sociology is we ground ourselves as sociologists in theory, theoretical perspective, empirical evidence, and interpretation based upon what we're finding in research. The applied piece, in addition to that, allows for the practical, critical application of the findings to address social issues. So our students come to us having varied backgrounds, varied scholarly interests, varied ideas about how to address social issues. And then they're given the opportunity to kind of apply what we're learning in the classroom and in the field when it comes to engaging in research. We'll talk a bit about that later, to addressing social issues. I see it as a exciting opportunity to really be on the cutting edge of 21st, 22nd century processes to address these issues. For example, when this particular program was designed, it was in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we knew when we designed this program that we were going to get an influx of students who've had some experiences that we've all had regarding the pandemic. And our students will come to us in varying ways. So we have a diversity in terms of how we come in the classroom. That's part of how we discuss this. And the applied sociology piece speaks to how it is that our students are actually showing up. The fact that we have smart classrooms to connect our students to people all around the world is quite different than what I experienced myself attending a traditional sociology PhD program. But again, we address social issues via that applied piece. What is it that we need to address today? Or what is the social problem that's on the table for the individual student or faculty member? How are we actually addressing these things in an intentional way to connect the findings to policy, to actually be able to write testimony involving these things, to support nonprofits, to support the continuation of research, to support interventions to address, social issues. So there's quite a bit that a student will be able to kind of garner from this particular program. One thing I will say is that students are and will continue to make their experience their own, because they are actually given the opportunity to identify an area of scholarship and move through the program addressing that area of scholarship in that very theory, research, and applicable way in terms of the applied sociology piece. That social justice aspect of our program speaks to who we are in the 21st century. When we talk about social justice, it's a wide array of things that we're addressing in terms of healthcare, health disparities, community and community needs, crime and justice, race and racism, genderism, sexuality, a whole host of things. So we address that as well. This is a unique and exciting opportunity for our students.
Great presentation of the program. So, Dr. Wilson, do you have anything to add to that?
Just to reemphasize that this program is applied, but by no means it's suggestive that these individuals coming out of it wouldn't be first-rated trained sociologists. Our motto is to train with excellence so that as an applied sociologist, you are fully aware of the theoretic, methodological, and all of those things that underlie the preparation of a good sociologist. We are very, very concerned about social justice simply because we are not training our people to sit behind desks. As Dr. Pratt-Harris identified, there are multiple areas where injustices exist, where inequalities exist. And we are training in our preparation for the PhD degree individuals who will use the information, use the methodological training, use the sophisticated theoretic understanding of social problems, and address real life situation. And so the attraction of our program is that we are training PhDs who potentially can make major differences in our world.
That's great. So what would be your approach to mentoring graduate students and perhaps bringing them on to do research with you, Dr. Pratt-Harris?
Definitely. I'm excited about this area. So, Dr. Wilson clearly described that our students are trained sociologists. They are trained in as relates to being theorists, understanding theory, being methodologists, and what that means in terms of how we do research. Budding statisticians, in terms of analyzing data, learning about qualitative analysis of data and research. The other piece is, in addition to that, within these experiences, is the hands-on experience of doing research. So we have the capacity via all of our networks and our own areas of specialty where students are able to actually identify data sets and run analysis and actually have, not only course opportunity to kind of go through what it means to run analysis and do reporting based upon data and data sets, but also beyond the classroom, being able to say, okay, this is the issue that we are addressing as a department, as a university, in our individual areas, or, in a particular city, or whatever the case may be, or for a particular organization, and be the persons that, are called upon to be able to run these analyses and speak to what the data is actually telling us. In addition, students are physically in the field, engaging in human subject research, actually physically with their professors, knocking on doors, having conversations with community members about the issues that are presenting themselves, that where we are not only offering this as an experience for our students in terms of a learning opportunity in the applied piece, but also empowering community members as well, in so much as their role in attaching themselves to action-oriented research. So our students are getting that real hands-on experience, going from the beginning of doing research from that proposal to the execution of the actual research protocol, to capturing the data, doing analysis, and doing the reporting, and then attending conferences, publishing in journals, and the like. the findings from actual research that is actually making some kind of a difference, and turning into like intervention. Students are mentored constantly in the classroom. There's advice regarding how a particular course is moving and what our needs are as individuals in the class. Obviously, there is advising for students one-on-one, but mentoring happens when a student actually sees their instructor as a researcher who's engaging in actual research, and students are kind of learning how to do the business of doing research, and or enhancing on what they already know as relates to doing research. So some of our students come to us having had some experience, but now they're actually working with their professors who are actively engaged in conducting research. So that's a win-win for everybody, because professors get the opportunity for students to assist with work that they're doing that's funded work. Students are almost always funded for research through grants and the like. And then the students themselves are gaining something that it's a resume builder that will speak to their capacity themselves to go after grants and get their own work funded, so that they can do the same thing and pass on the torch, to their own students. So that's part of that goal. Thank you.
Dr. Wilson, do you have some words on mentoring?
Well, that's the core training methodology for the department. It is our hope that no student will be without a mentor from the initial stages into the doctoral program and not even until they get out, long after that. What our hope is that we can build relationships with our students. I like to call them our junior colleagues rather than students, so that they feel that they're a part of an enterprise that is perpetuated even after they leave here. It's important, and we are actively working on pairing students with individuals who are doing critical research in areas that they're interested in. So students will not be left alone, or junior colleagues will in fact be junior colleagues, because they'll be working along with professors who are actually doing research.
That's great. And so the last question for the two of you is any advice that you would want to impart onto graduate students, prospective students, to help them succeed in graduate school and beyond?
Well, one of the things we have in our graduate program, we have the doctorate and we have the master's program as well, is we establish cohorts. So our students are actually coming in together, being advised for the most part to take courses together. And what will happen naturally is that they build a relationship within their cohort that is lifelong. But in the process of actually, being in school, that relationship is going to help to carry you through the graduate program. When you are having experiences where you are dealing with real life, when you are struggling with what's going on in the classroom, when you are attempting to manage your what you're doing in the academy with what you're doing at work, vice versa, that cohort, that family that you're actually connected to is very important. So that cohort plan that we have in our program is intentional, because we recognize working together makes a heck of a difference. One of the things that I know as an instructor is students oftentimes talk about not necessarily wanting to work, doing group work, but sociologists are always and often talking about working in groups, and you see that kind of manifest itself when it comes to the cohorts, and when you're doing work as a within a class or as a cohort in the actual program. So that's very important. Making certain that you do what you are asked to do regarding the advisement that you are going to be getting from your individual professors, and then your advisor, the person you are assigned. Staying connected to that person, stopping in, during their office hours, or any opportunities you have to connect or engage with them, please do so. I tell students it is important. It is absolutely essential. I don't think anyone said this to me in graduate school. We were in a different era when I was in graduate school. But I tell students, and I'll say this for everyone who comes through the door, and the current students hear this often, self-care is very important. Doing high-end research, having these expectations to maintain this GPA that you have to maintain in order to matriculate through the program, that can be stressful for some of us. But taking time for yourself is essential. We have a lot of resources at Morgan State University to assist students in that way. We have the counseling center. We have programs to allow students to just take a breather, we suggest exercising and all things that are in the best interest of the student in terms of self-care. Once you've made the application, you are now a part of a family who wants to see you succeed. You're part of a team of folks, faculty and students, who want to see you succeed, and take advantage of that. But also, you're going to be giving back as well, because students are going to see you doing what you're doing, and they're going to benefit from you as well. And that also helps when you know that others are watching you. So just get ready to do your best, and know that you're going to be given advice on kind of making it, because we've all come from graduate programs. We have varying experiences, all of us as faculty, and then your fellow cohort as well. But just get ready to make those connections.
Great. So, Dr. Wilson, any parting advice?
Well, my closing thought is simply this. Do you want a place where you feel like home, even though you might be away from home? Do you want a place where you feel like part of a family that will not let you go? Do you want to be in a place where people genuinely care about your success? If you want all of those things, Morgan State University is the place. Our doctoral program is geared not only to bring you in. Once you come into the program, we make a commitment to you that if you keep your part of the bargain, we will make sure that you succeed.
Okay, this is a very great presentation. So thank you to both of you, Dr. Wilson and Dr. Pratt-Harris. Yeah, and best of luck to all of the applicants out there who are considering applying to our program in the PhD program in applied sociology and social justice.
Thank you so much, Dr. Liu. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. Liu.
Take care.